and welcome to Safe Schools. I'm Curtis Graves.
And I'm Andy Howard.
Andy, how are you?
I'm great, Kurt.
Andy, we have a great show today.
I think so.
We have the Mobile Police Department here at the Family Intervention Team.
Okay.
And we also have a very prominent DJ with
All
us
right.
today as well.
And I'm excited about that idea. They're going to be talking about some important stuff today, are they?
Very important stuff. Stuff that the public needs to know. And with that, we'll be back after these messages.
Diesel is a very big industry, and I went into it in a 2-year program at the Bryant Career Tech with Tony Toomer.
When Jacob graduated from the Bryant Career Center, he had earned his diesel credential.
The Career Technical Center taught me a lot, all the way from not knowing anything about a motor or engine to knowing pretty much every single moving part of them.
MCPSS Career Tech. Start your future today.
The quality of education that I received from the Mobile County Public School System really prepared me for global success. Being an international opera singer, I get to travel all across the world. And one of the most important aspects about that is being able to communicate and work with people. And the Mobile County Public School System really equipped me to be greatly successful worldwide.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Let's switch to Energy Star light bulbs and stop burning through cash. Saving energy saves you money.
And we're back. And it's time for us to get into an exciting program. We have with us 2 wonderful guests who I think are going to have a lot of beneficial things to say for the community to hear. We have Sergeant Zandra Thornton Jackson with the Mobile Police Department. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
And we also have with us DJ and community activist and a lot of other titles, but it's Mr. Rodney Toomer, as most of you know of as Rodski. Welcome.
Good morning. Folks, we're typically on first name basis in here, and I've known Zandra, I'm going to call you Zandra, for a long time, and yes. Rodney, Rodski, yes. DJ Rodski. We're gonna do away with the official titles and just have a real conversation.
Absolutely.
All right. Andrew.
Curtis, go ahead, man.
Well, let's do this then. I was thinking you were going to ask a question, but I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Sergeant Jackson, Zandra, tell us a little bit about the FIT team, the Mobile Police Department's intervention team, Family Intervention Team.
Well, the Family Intervention Team has been around on the Mobile Police Department since 1998. It was brought about by our former Public Safety Director, Mr. Dick Cashdollar, and Mr. Al Stokes. And what they did is they reinvented well, not necessarily reinvented, but they implemented the program here on the Mobile Police Department, and from that, working with those kids that are at risk. Initially, the program started working with kids between the ages of 10 and 17 that had not been formally charged on formal probation. Referrals came from beat officers, community agencies such as the Teen Center, Strickland Youth Center, schools, walk-ins, community people. The team is composed of civilian employees in the initial state with backgrounds in education, counseling, and law enforcement.
Now, you've been part of that program now for how long?
I became the supervisor of the Family Intervention Program in 2009. I was transferred to the program.
Reference that, okay. How long you've been with the program? I have another couple of questions along with where you started and how you got to there. Now, you've been with the FIT team since '09, but you've been with the police department longer than that.
Yes, I started with the police department in 1992. I have 22 plus years with the department now.
Well, that's a good long career with the police department.
Yes. Longer than I thought.
You're a native too, is that correct?
Yes, I'm a native, Mobile and Pritchard.
Okay.
I graduated from C.F. Viger High School in 1991.
Well, shout out to the Wolves.
Yes, class of 91.
All right.
Because I think that's important that, our guests know that the people that we have on our program, stakeholders, are also people who are products of you know, this community, and in your case, stay a product of this public school system's process and education.
And that's the whole point of bringing people on from the community, to let folks know that these people that we bring on are people who have really good information to share, and they have a passion for what they do and what they want to share with the families. And with that, DJ Roski, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a native New Yorker. I moved to Mobile in '80. I'm a graduate of Murphy High School. I was one of those high-risk young people that you're talking about.
Okay.
When I was 22, I got incarcerated, federal, for conspiracy to distribute. I was caught up in dropping off something. Never got in trouble in my life before, but
Right.
I was uneducated to the conspiracy laws. And even though I had never partook in the distribution or actual selling of any drugs, I dropped it off.
Right.
And the mandatory minimums afforded me to go and get incarcerated for 7 years and 4 months. And during that time, I was able to educate myself on the process and how our young people get caught up. And I vowed that when I got out, that would never happen to any other young person that came into my life.
And you are a testimony to what the Chief of Police with Mobile Police Department, Chief Barber, is talking about. You still have a choice. It's something that he's pushing, that we've talked about with him. You mentor young people all the time.
Absolutely. I've been mentoring for 15 years.
And one of the things you do right now, you have this program called Broadcast Academy.
Broadcast University.
Okay, University. Talk to us about that.
Broadcast University, I've been in radio for over 25 years. And what I did, I took the knowledge that I've learned, and I know that our children it's easy, they love music, in other words. And one of the things that we use as bait, or to draw them in, is the music.
Right.
And they're fascinated about the process of radio. So what I do, I teach them all the aspects of cutting commercials, the different software, how to speak, how to market yourself, and give them something else. Oftentimes I ask them, what would you want to do in your life? Well, I want to be this, I want to be this. So I said, well, write in 60 seconds what you want to do. And we'll let them write it, and then we'll put music on it and let them actually hear their voices. And that's the first thing to turning it around.
What's the reaction you get when you see them doing
It's
it?
priceless. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
When they hear and they actually feel like they accomplished something. And then they're ready and they're hungry, and then we start feeding them more knowledge and everything. And during that time, we still underline different things and dropping little seeds to help them cultivate their minds and just the life lessons.
It's all about investing in the community.
Absolutely.
And you've been investing in the community with that program and some other programs. But you two, Zandra and yourself, you guys know one another pretty well, because you guys have worked together before. You've done some programming before. Share with the community those programs that you guys have fostered together.
With Family Intervention, we go outside of the box, and one of our main things to help us do what we do, we partner with community partners to help us. And I remember DJ Roski came in to one of our meetings at the department, and he was very passionate about doing something for our young people in one of our areas that's very problematic with juvenile probation, incarceration, pregnancy, and dropout. And I saw that passion because I too have the same passion, so we just basically connected. So we were allowed to work as a team, and my job was just to help support him in what he and his team were doing, and that's what we did with finding the kids, with making sure we had the location, and he and his team did the rest. So I was just a support, but that's what we have to do when we're trying to reach our kids, to get those fundamentals. And so it was such an awesome idea that I love it, especially if it's going to help educate our kids and make them more better and productive in our communities.
A lot of good stuff, and we will continue to have this conversation after a short message.
Nonviolence will start with me.
Nonviolence will start with me.
All across the Mobile County public school system, students are taking the pledge.
I pledge to accept the responsibility of my actions.
To solve problems peacefully.
Respect myself and others.
The 100 Days of Nonviolence Pledge. It's an initiative to help explore alternative means of stopping violence among school students. Will you take the challenge? Get involved. Take a stand. 100 Days, 100 Ways.
Like what? Smartboard, that's right.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to energy-saving bulbs. Saving energy saves you money. When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
And we're back. We want to continue this conversation we had before the commercial break. Zandra, I know you guys work with youth in the community, but it's so much more than just working with the youth. To actually get children or young people engaged, you have to actually approach it from another front as well, from the family. How does that work?
Well, initially, it's always the family member that will make that initial phone call and say, I'm having problems, or they're referred to us by either Strickland or just another within the department. You know, who do you call? You know, when you're in trouble and you're in need, you call the police. So within that, they transfer the family or that parent or guardian to our unit. And once we do that initial intake, the parent then tells us what the presenting problem is, and of course is the juvenile. And so with that, you go into other, that opens up other dialogue to find out, okay, when did this start? How long have you been going through it? And then you find yourself, you see from that initial phone conversation or that initial face-to-face meeting what that family dynamic is like. And every family is different, and we have a lot of family dynamics now, and you have to address them on the level that they are at. So you find yourself starting with the child, but then we end up working with the whole family because there are other needs that need to be met, whether they're parenting skills, and not necessarily saying a parent doesn't know how to parent, but parents need to be educated on how to advocate. So we teach parents how to advocate for their children, what resources and services are there, and we help them through the process. That means through home visits, school visits, office visits. So that's how we end up working with the whole family.
So with that, you're acknowledging that the child is just the surface of the issue. You see a child, and there's so much more to a child than just what you see or the behavior that's being exhibited. And that's a lot to be said. That's a lot to understand when we talk about the education system, when we talk about teachers as well, right? And those who interact with children, for us to understand that sometimes that behavior is a sign of something else.
Right. There are many layers, and that's just the top layer. But as you keep going and going, you have to get to the root of that particular problem. And a lot of times it's the family cycle. How does that family operate? On what level, what environment did that family come from? And then from there, you have to gain a rapport. In order to start working with them, you first have to gain their rapport, their respect, so they can open up to you or open up to that 15 specialist to be able to say, okay, I want this, because sometimes we become offensive, we go on defense as parents because it's almost like an attack that I'm not doing my job. And parents sometimes find themselves trying to protect their image, and we understand that because we are parents as well. So with that, we let them know we're here to help. You know, we're here to help assist you.
Right. And with that, Roski, you are addressing that very same issue yourself with your program, because a lot of times your program, you have the students or youth that come to your program are being referred to maybe by Sergeant Jackson, or maybe a family member brings them in because they're trying to find an outlet for them. What do you see when you engage or encounter those?
That's the process that Sergeant Jackson was talking about. I'm the layer, I pull back the layers. I feel like any problem, high-risk child or problem child, it's the root to it, and I'm there to deal on a daily. We knocking down the wall, and I knock the wall because they get familiar with me. You have to gain the child's trust. They have to feel like I'm comfortable, which I know whatever I tell you is to be confidential unless it harms the child. So that's where I'm there on a daily basis. And when I talk to them and I tell them everything I went through, and they see it and they understand it, then they feel more trustworthy to deal with me and talk to me, and they see that I'm there because I love them, not because I just going through a status quo, just there to go through the process. And I think the first thing is to show them love. And if you get to that bottom, you'll find out every problem child at the bottom, something that happened in that child's life somewhere that made them turn for the worse.
And it could be anything. It could be the absence of a father.
Absolutely.
Or the absence of a mother.
And for me, as my father wasn't there. I felt three things. I felt abandoned by my father. I felt no support. Fraternal support from my father. And you know, those things, my father used to tell me, I'm gonna come over and get you on the weekends. And I sit in the living room, I sit on the porch and wait, and he never shows up. And I had this anger. And the anger made me reach out and lash out at my mother.
Yeah.
So those are the three components that I think that, especially for young black men, African American men, those are things that I try to deal with.
Your experience is not unique. I mean, that's an experience I've heard many young people articulate.
Absolutely.
And I guess one of the things is that notion that, one, you're not an island all out there by yourself.
Absolutely.
And two, you know, we're all a village, and that village includes those many stakeholders such as yourselves.
Absolutely.
Right, and we have to also understand, and I would like to interject that, you know, when we talk about the family, the stereotype, oh, it's the single parent homes. I have many families that I work with, from Spring Hill and Tut Hill to Spring Hill and Broad.
Right.
You know, and I tell everybody who's at risk, everybody is at risk. You know, you have parents that are working every day and doing, you know, professionals working in their careers, and they're having problems because there are a lot of issues in our society now. And a parent can't be everywhere at every time, and they may not know those resources because they're providing for their children.
And not only that, it's so complex because, again, I think on every show we end up bringing social media into it because people have to understand that that has become mom and dad, where mom and dad are not playing an active role in their children's lives. And I'm sure you guys see that all the time.
We do, and those are the things, and I spoke with a group of parents at Leinkoff just here Monday, and the one thing is finding that balance. As a parent, you have to balance yourself out. With your children, we work to provide, but that quality time in those fundamental years are what's the most important, and that's where those parenting workshops come in at, because we kind of revisit those things and get parents to say, you know what, maybe I do, you know, taking that time out, because sometimes it's the attention that that child may need that's probably led to other things because they're attention seekers, and that's where the social media comes in.
You said parenting workshops. How well is that received?
Sometimes it can be received on an offensive standpoint. They get on the defense because it's almost an attack of who they are as a parent.
Because I buy my kids brand new tennis shoes.
You know, I provide, I work, I give them everything, I live in, you know, but, you know, as a parent and with my own experiences, I identify and I become transparent so they can understand I know, and it helped me. It helped me to see some things that I could do better so my son, my daughter could communicate with me more, because sometimes we spend a lot of time but we're not listening as parents because we're the parents, we're in control. And sometimes you have to take a step back and just listen.
And transparency, you just said transparency. Transparency is very important because people don't understand that in order for someone to react or respond to me in a positive manner, I have to be willing to expose myself to a certain degree. To let them know that I'm also human, and I also make mistakes and bad decisions from time to time. And it's okay, it's part of life. Yeah.
And when you say that, you know, we don't just deal with the kid, there's just, you know, the family conflict, but that could be academic issues and parents, oh, they're not doing good in school. And I say, well, how well were you in school? And I say, well, you know, we put a lot of mandates on our children, and it's pressure. And sometimes that pressure leads to, you know, they give up. But parents have to understand you have to meet your child where they are. You know, and that's what we spend our time with our parents, helping them understand and, you know, how to advocate for their child.
And with that, we're going to take a short commercial break.
It started with me at Murphy High School when I came here as a freshman in 1973. I was very interested in math and science already before I came to Murphy. From Murphy High School, I was appointed to the U.S. Naval Academy, was able to get my college degree and also my commission in the U.S. Navy from the Naval Academy, but it truly was the foundation that I gained here at Murphy High School that allowed me to take advantage of that great opportunity.
And we're back. Sergeant Jackson.
Yes.
We talked about the FIT team. That's the Family Intervention Team. It's comprised of what number and what background? Who's a FIT team?
The FIT team are civilian employees, and they have background in social work, counseling, and education, also law enforcement. I was the first law enforcement as far as to be the overseer of the FIT team, and it was because of my background in counseling and the substantial amount of time I spent in working in community service.
Okay. And the people who you said that initiate the contact, you mentioned to me in our previous conversation off camera, beat officer. You know, a lot of times when a person interacts with the police, you know, their first notion is, well, it's either go to jail or not. But, you know, that beat officer now with the intervention of things like the FIT team have an opportunity to do something proactive with that citizen.
Exactly. They react to the call, but the proactive part is that juvenile that is in that family conflict. If it's not a Strickland matter, then those first responders, because of what we have, and we're one of the only police departments in this region that has a family intervention program. So because of that, they can refer those parents to our office, and then what our specialists do is they go through the reports that concern juveniles, and we'll send out letters or make phone calls to let them know, you know, we saw this report, do you need our service? Because it is voluntary if it's not mandated through the court system. Okay. So, and I think that was the brainchild behind it, and the uniqueness of it is that beat officers say, you know, we have somewhere that we can get you to help you, because the first thing is that I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go. And because you have to be very familiar with your resources and services in your community and surrounding areas, so you can be able to direct that parent or get that parent the services and resources they need.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the things that prompted the intervention of this program, was the notion of being made aware of resources. You know, when people think about the youth center and children being at risk, that's another one of your agents, one of the agencies that refer folks to you guys too, because incarceration isn't the only answer there either.
Right, incarceration isn't the only answer, and like I say, the presenting problem presents itself, whether it's a disorderly, an assault, a theft, but that initial is something else going on. So because Judge Naaman has went into the community, because like you say, it takes a village, that partnership with our team and other agencies has helped him with the youth that come through the youth center to be able to get those services, because, you know, the youth center can't do it all, the school system can't do it all, we can't do it all, but together, working together, you know, it helps everybody, you know, to fill in those gaps and close those, you know, build the bridges, you know, to bring the bridges closer together.
So outside of the beat officer and outside of the youth center, you and I talked also about what we refer to as walk-ins. So how does that happen?
Well, that's typically a parent that's fed up and just tired of being tired, of sick and tired. And that's the parent that comes in and says, I don't know what to do. They just got suspended from school. I took them to Strickland. They said they can't come there, but they sent me here. So those are those walk-ins, and that's a typical walk-in.
Okay. And we're going, Rodney, you said that you provide these services, and they sound wonderful. Where do you do that?
Well, I'm after school counselor at Dearborn YMCA. I get referrals from Sergeant Jackson, from Judge Naaman, from just mom and dad and grandma, whoever it is. You know, we don't turn any child.
So besides being referred by Sergeant Jackson and the police department, besides Judge Naaman and the youth center, you also have walk-ins?
Yes, my number is public to everybody. Everything I do, everybody has access. They should have access to my number because it's everywhere. And you know, I have parents call me. I have the same situations that Sergeant Jackson had. They don't know what else to do. So send them to me. Bring them down here. And I initially have a screen and talk to them and see where we are with the child, the history, what's going on, and then we go from there and start working.
Well, you have to say that it takes a special person to do what both of you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
And I know with that comes some of the pitfalls of seeing things happen in a negative way. How does that impact you from time to time? Because I'm sure you see some things where you put in a lot of effort and the outcome is not what you expect.
I had that happen a couple of times, and you know, you take it and you learn from it. It's never discouraging to me. It just makes me want to go harder. It makes me want to try harder. What else can I do to stop this from happening. So I just have this thing in me about I won't be defeated, and failure is not an option at all.
Right, I
when
like
I'm dealing
that.
with these children.
But with that also, you also have successes.
Absolutely.
And with those successes, how do you feel as someone who's been a mentor in a young person's life?
The greatest satisfaction I have is when the young people I know that goes to college or whatever, they come back and they want to help, because the first thing I implement is when you get yours, when you learn this, when you get to where you need to get, you have to reach back and you have to help somebody.
When you get there.
That's the number one thing they know.
So you've seen some actually go into the field.
I had some come back and actually mentor, come back when they're from school or whatever they're doing. They come back, I want to help. I want to help you. They join the classes, whatever, and they even come back. We have presenters to speak, all of that. They always come back.
You know, one of the things that you said earlier that just jumped out in my mind was the notion, and I'm going to use a phrase one of my own kids uses, branding. You know, and then rebranding even. Absolutely. You know, but the branding is that you put a name out there for yourself as a young person, a reputation maybe even. Maybe it's a positive one, maybe not so positive, but you can rehabilitate that and rebrand yourself. And you mentioned things like, you know, the media perspective on things. Can you talk just a little bit, Curtis knows where I'm going with this, but can you talk just a little bit about that image that people put out there in the media, basically Facebook and that kind of thing, how young folks, maybe do they understand that when you put stuff out there, what that might mean as a reputation or your image? Because that's how your career was built, is by reputation and image, wasn't it?
Absolutely, but also you have to walk it. You know, the young people, they see a lot of people talk it, but if you know, you have to walk on a daily basis, and a lot of us, they see hypocrisy in adults, and if they see the hypocrisy, you lose them. Right. So it's all about, you know, if I got an image, Roski, this is what you do on a daily basis, they see me walking that walk and not just talking it. And a lot of things, what I do is, like, when I come to young people and I talk to them, I don't like to have a lot of meetings. I don't like to keep talking about what we're gonna do. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You know,
what we want to do right now, if we can, let's show the website for the FIT team and the number. So if you want to contact the FIT team, you can reach them at 208-6145. We thank you both for coming out today, spending time with us, and
let's save schools. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you the next time.